on Y News. President Rodrigo Duterte reveals there are 2 Filipino generals who are still active in illegal drugs trade. Former PNP CIDG Chief Benjamin Magalong and PIDEA Chief Aaron Aquino raise alarm as death threats to their families intensify. The Philippine National Police tracker teams begin their manhunt operation against alleged drug lord Johnson Lee. Russian President Vladimir Putin expresses his willingness to support President Duterte to battle terrorism. And a UNTV exclusive, a Filipino fisherman shares his story of how he evaded the deadly Taiwan bridge collapse. Good evening. President Rodrigo Duterte reaffirms partnership with Russia during his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. During his speech in Valdai Forum, he slammed partners who intervene in Philippine affairs. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte and Russian President Vladimir Putin met in Sochi City, Russia yesterday before the Valdai Forum. It was their 4th time to meet. President Duterte thanked his Russian counterpart for inviting him to the forum.
I'm here today to reaffirm our strong commitment to build a robust and comprehensive partnership with the Russian Federation. In the past 2 years, you have seen a dramatic increase in bilateral activities across many areas of cooperation at various levels of government.
The chief executive also stressed the accomplishments and positive developments in the bilateral relations of Russia and the Philippines. Russian President Putin said Russia regards the Philippines as an important partner in Asia.
Российские компании готовы повысить объем.
Russian companies are ready to expand the supplies of energy products, cooperation in fostering cooperation in peaceful nuclear development, space exploration, and digital technology. It is important to foster direct ties between entrepreneurs.
Meanwhile, in his speech during the plenary session at the Valdai Forum, President Duterte criticized some of the Philippines' partners for intervening in the state affairs, particularly in his campaign against illegal drugs and terrorism. The chief executive said this violates the world order.
What we seek, I assume, what the Russian people and all nations also desire, is fairness, equality, and mutual respect. We want a strengthened rules-based order where countries, big or small, are treated the same. We want unimpeded freedom and guaranteed by our Constitution to exercise our right to govern ourselves as a people and as we saw it fit. And we want friends and partners to respect our independence to make sovereign decisions just as we respect theirs.
The president also did not miss the opportunity to discuss the problem of the country in illegal drugs and corruption. President Duterte revealed there are 2 generals involved in illegal drugs.
And right now, even as I fly here and go back, there are about, again, 2 generals who are still playing with drugs. And I said, well, I told you, do not destroy my country because it is being flooded with drugs.
President Duterte is back to Moscow today to visit the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and the Kremlin Palace. He will also speak at the scheduled Philippines-Russia Business Forum. Tonight, he will host a Philippine cultural gala performance with the Bayanihan Dance Troupe and Philippine Madrigal Singers. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue.
Malacañang defends President Rodrigo Duterte's loose necktie during meeting with Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev. The palace also explains the presence of some Filipino artists during the president's Russia trip. Rosalie Cos is back to tell us why.
A foreign journalist's Twitter post on the meeting between President Rodrigo Duterte and Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev in the Prime Minister's office in Moscow, Russia on Wednesday has gone viral. Some Russian citizens criticized President Duterte, who they said was a bit at camp during the meeting with their prime minister. But Malacañang dismissed the criticism, saying the president loosened up his necktie because he feels suffocated and uncomfortable if the tie is tightly in place in the collar. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo also said the president is hygienic and fragrant. The loosened necktie does not mean to show disrespect to the Russian Prime Minister or the Russians, he added. The palace also explains why the Russian trip included some Filipino artists. In a post of Ms. Midge Tagbe on a social media page, says several Filipino actors are also in Russia, such as Cesar Montano and Philip Salvador. Attorney Larry Gadon is also in Moscow, but according to Secretary Panelo, the actors flew to Russia on their own to support the president and entertain the Filipino community. He also said they can afford to travel and the government did not pay them for the trip. Panelo added the government is willing to disclose to public the official list of President Duterte's delegation during the Russia visit. Rosa Licoz, UNTV, News and Rescue.
Death threats received by former PNP Criminal Investigation and Detection Group Chief Benjamin Magalong and Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency Chief Aaron Aquino intensify. This after the two testified in the Senate hearings on the 2013 Ago Bato incident in Pampanga. Grace Casin tells us why.
Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong has revealed receiving death threats in the past weeks. But he has this challenge to whoever is threatening him.
Wala lang galawan ng pamilya. O kaya, they just have to make sure that kung may ginawa sa akin, I will survive. I will not survive. Otherwise, all hell will break loose.
The former PNP CIDG chief also confirms he has received A1 or top quality information on the threats to his and his family's lives.
Now, tinext na kagad ako nung security ko at tinext na rin siya ng isang gun for hire na yung kilala niyang gun for hire may kumausap na raw at pinagpan ako. So, I just have to, be conscious of my security. Making sure na lalo-lalo na sa aking family.
Even PIDEA Chief Aaron Aquino has admitted receiving a lot of threats because of the nature of his work, but a recent death threat could be big. He has strengthened the security for his family.
Tambangan ako ng 4 times already. I even sold one of my small house because kinising na ako doon. But the threat was intensified just recently.
Such threats came after they testified in Senate on the 2013 Ago Bato incident in Pampanga that involved 13 cops and former officers of PNP Chief Police General Oscar Albayalde. Aquino said he doesn't regret exposing the truth. He said he consulted his family before giving his testimonies.
Sabi nila, the truth will set you free. Go ahead. Daddy, Papa, go ahead and say it.
Mayor Magalong, on the other hand, said he received text messages from some policemen after Thursday's hearing.
Thank you, sir, for standing and speaking up for the truth. We're carefully listening to all the resource persons' testimonies, and honestly, sir, we are really demoralized.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue.
Philippine National Police Chief Police General Oscar Albayalde maintains there is no cover-up in the 2013 anti-drugs operation in Pampanga that involved some of his personnel when he was the Pampanga Police Chief. April Sinedoza reports why.
As his retirement draws closer, just more than a month from now, fingers are pointing against PNP Chief Police General Oscar Albayalde over the Ninja Cops controversy. But the country's top cop maintains there was no cover-up in the anti-illegal drugs operation in November 2013, in which 13 Pampanga cops allegedly recycled confiscated illegal drugs.
Walang cover-up dito. What ang lumabas dito? Walang cover-up dito. Yung kung sinong dapat managot, mananagot. Walang cover-up dito. We do not cover up anybody.
The top PNP official doesn't want to argue with some senators, like Senator Richard Gordon, who was disappointed in him because he didn't appeal when he was relieved as the Pampanga police chief before. According to Albayalde, the accused policemen who have been placed in floating status will face another investigation.
They will face another investigation, and we will open the administrative case against them also by IAS.
April Ceredoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The Philippine National Police begins their manhunt operations against Chinese national Johnson Lee. Lee is said to be the arrested suspect in a drug raid in Mexico, Pampanga in 2013. Leia Ilagan will tell us why.
PNP spokesperson Police Brigadier General Bernard Banac says the PNP Drug Enforcement Group, Intelligence Group and Police Regional Office 3 have been tasked to hunt down Johnson Lee. He was freed in exchange for another suspects after being arrested in a drug raid during a PNP anti-illegal drug operation on November 29, 2013. The police want to make sure that Lee is still in the Philippines.
Inaasahan natin na ang ating anti-drug unit, ang PDEG, ay siyang manguna rito upang makuha natin ang mga impormasyon. Ganon din ang ating intelligence units at ang pamunuan ng Region 3 ay magtutulungan ang lahat ng mga ito upang matukoy natin kung narito pa ba o nasaan ba ang kinaroroonan nitong si Johnson Lee.
Banac also says he believes the police force will surpass the controversies they are now facing with the help of the public.
Ito namang isyong ito ay alam nating malalagpasan din naman natin at hindi nito matatakpan ang mga naging accomplishments na natin for the last 3 years at maasa rin tayo of course ating mga kababayan na patuloy pa rin tayong suportahan.
Although there have been contradictions among some police officers, they remain solid.
Parang may mga iba't ibang opinion of course ang mga kasama natin sa PNP. Pero collectively as an organization ay buo pa rin tayo at iisa at tayo po ay nanunungkulan sa ilalim ng pamumuno ng ating Commander-in-Chief, ang ating Pangulong Duterte.
Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The Department of Justice will await the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee's recommendation if 2 Bureau of Corrections officers involved in the GCTA for sale issue may be covered by the government's Witness Protection Program. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
Bureau of Corrections officers Maria Belinda Bansil and Veronica Bunyo are caught in the middle of the Good Conduct Time Allowance or GCTA for sale issue. This after the National Bureau of Investigation released the results of the forensic examination on Bunyo's cell phone. The two are found to be involved in selling GCTA to the families of inmates for their early release. Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Richard Gordon has offered the government's Witness Protection Program or WPP in exchange for information on other persons involved in the controversy, but Bunyo insisted.
Wala po talaga akong personal knowledge, pero yung mga infos po is napi-feed naman po kahit buong Bureau of Corrections is alam.
What information do senators want to know? Possibly information connected to the findings of the NBI on the alleged deleted text conversations between Bansil and Bunyo, in which the two were talking about money and a name filed on. The NBI also retrieved a message about the reshuffle in Bucor and about Fildon's signature.
Pinag-uusapan GCTA boards, babalasahin na naman. Saka si Fildon, itinanggi ang pirma niya. Di ba pirma naman niya talaga yon? 8K pera boards, Chito, bibigay 50K, 100K Fildon.
The two remains in Senate custody until they divulge what they know about GCTA for sale. Senator Gordon gave the two Bucor officials up to 3 days to disclose what they know. Afterwards, they will determine if an executive session or recommendation for the WPP are needed. What are the benefits of being a witness under the WPP? Under Republic Act number 6981 or the Witness Protection, Security and Benefit Act, they will be given security protection, immunity from criminal prosecution, safe house, livelihood assistance, traveling and subsistence allowance, free medical treatment and hospitalization, burial assistance not less than 10,000 pesos, free education assistance for the dependent minor of a witness who dies or is permanently incapacitated, non-removal from work and can get his full salary. Unlike when under Senate custody, only security and food are given to the individuals who face contempt charge. Senate's recommendation is one of the DOJ's basis for the two Bucor personnel to be subjected to the WPP. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara, in a text message, said they did not receive any messages from Bancils and Buños camps if they want to be covered by the Witness Protection Program. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue.
Local artists rock the world of the Cebu City crowd at the Wishful Day mini concert. They are also bracing for the Braver Moira concert series Visayas Leg, happening on October 25. Gladys Tuabi will tell us why.
Homegrown artists in Cebu feel much more support not just from their fans, but also from Wish 107.5's as the iconic Wish Bus visits the province. Local artists serenaded the Cebu crowd at Wish FM's Wishful Day mini concert. Last night in Garden Row, Ayala Mall Central Block, Cebu IT Park. Visayan pop artists Kurt Fick and Jackie Chang wowed the audience.
It was nerve-wracking because this is a very iconic bus, so dream come true. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Wish.
Grabe ka pressure, but at the same time, really exciting and if not exhilarating ang experience. Kaya rarely do you get to do this.
The two thanked Wish 107.5 for giving importance to the music and talents of local artists in the provinces.
It's amazing. Nindot siya because dili na siya exclusively for kanang Manila artists, so they're reaching out to like us, mga local artists.
I think they're doing something good with how they're supporting and then giving some sort of space for artists.
More local artists will perform at the succeeding dates of the Wishful Day mini concert. Cebuanos are also bracing for the Braver Moira concert happening on October 25 at the Pacific Grand Ballroom Waterfront Hotel, Cebu City. The Sing Like Moira contest continues on October 11 and 13 for those who want to win cash prizes, plus free tickets to the Braver Moira Visayas Leg. The finals is on October 23rd. You may also grab your tickets at www.smtickets.com or www.platinumlist.net. Gladys Tuabi, UNTV News and Rescue, Cebu City.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up to where Alex Baltasar left off. I am William Theo, and here are the headlines. Train operations of the Light Rail Transit Line, or LRT2, remain suspended today due to technical and safety concerns. Motorcycle hailing app Angkas plans to expand their operations nationwide. Baguio City and the Department of Transportation mull over proposals to build a cable car system to link the country's summer capital with La Union province. 5 Navy warships to be deployed in western Mindanao. And a UNTV exclusive, a Filipino fisherman shares his story of how he evaded the deadly Taiwan bridge collapse this week. Good evening. The operation of LRT2 system remains suspended until today. The LRT2 management has not advised if operations will resume within the weekend. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
Manila Light Rail Transit System, or LRT2 spokesperson Attorney Hernando Cabrera, said the suspension of the train operations from Santolan to Recto stations is due to some technical and safety concerns based on the reports from the engineering and safety units. Based on their assessment, the fire was seen along the carriageway between Anonas and Katipunan stations, caused by the tripping off of Rectifier Substation 5 located at Katipunan Station. LRTA asks the public for understanding as the suspension of their operations have caused inconveniences.
We don't want na mag-start kaagad ng partial operation, baka mamaya may problema din yung ibang substation. So yan ang reason bakit natatagalan kami na mag-take na ng partial operation. We want to check everything para sa safety ng ating mga pasahero.
Cabrera advises regular LRT2 commuters to use other modes of transport for now.
Ang malaking bagay na maapekto natin yung mga time natin. Mas kailangan nating maaga na gumising lahat tayo para lang makakup up tayo dun sa loss ng ating transportation sa segment na particular na ito.
In coordination with the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, free bus rides were prepared to service passengers from the Santolan to Cubao Station. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The entire light rail transit or LRT Line 2 system will not be operational for 9 months. This is based on the assessment made by the LRTA's engineering and safety units. The damages in the Katipunan and Santolan substations are severe. The 2 substations are currently not usable. The LRTA targets to conduct partial operation from Recto to Cubao stations by Monday or Tuesday next week. This translates to no LRT2 operations tomorrow, October 5th, and on Sunday, October 6th, until further notice. Meanwhile, motorcycle ride-hailing service Angkas plans to expand their operations in other major cities. This is once a bill is passed into law legalizing the operations of motorcycle taxis as public transportation. Joanne Nano tells us why.
As traffic problem in Metro Manila continue to worsen, a lot of public utility vehicle commuters patronize the service of motorcycle taxis such as Angkas. For some passengers, motorcycle taxis are more beneficial compared with Transport Network Vehicle Services or TNVS, which most of the time also get stuck in traffic.
Gumagamit ako ng Angkas kasi mas mabilis yung travel time. Tsaka pag traffic, mas nakakalusot yung Angkas sa mga sides kesa pag naka-TNVS ka.
For me, mas convenient ang paggamit ng Angkas kasi hindi ka na kailangan makipagsiksikan sa maraming tao. Safe naman ang Angkas and professional rider ang mga ito.
Based on Angkas monitoring, the number of their passengers increased significantly in the previous weeks.
Especially now that it's going into the bare months, so it's really traffic going into nearing December. So there's really more people now trying it out.
However, Angkas refuses to disclose the number of their daily ridership. Around 27,000 Angkas riders operate in Metro Manila and Metro Cebu. They are undergoing the 6-month trial run, which will last until December this year. Through this, the government will be able to identify if they would allow the legal operations of motorcycle taxis. Once a legislation is made, Angkas plans to expand their operations nationwide. Motorcycle taxis will also operate in Davao City, Cagayan de Oro cities, and Batangas soon.
Traffic is not exclusive to Metro Manila. It's not just a Metro Manila problem. It's a problem of every city that is progressing. Every successful city will experience congestion at some point in time.
The number of motorcycles nationwide continue to increase. Based on LTO's latest data in 2018, there were more than 7 million registered motorcycles in the country, with more than 1 million in Metro Manila. Joanne Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Caloocan City.
In other news, the city government of Baguio said it is currently studying the possibility of putting up a cable car system as an alternative transportation to ease the traffic congestion in the country's summer capital. In a statement, the city said it is coordinating with the Department of Transportation or DOTR for the proposal to set up a cable car system that would link the prime tourist spot to Pugo in La Union. City Mayor Benjamin Magalong announced during the September 23 Executive Legislative meeting that DOTR Secretary Arthur Tugade offered for the city to enter into an agreement for the cable car line project. The cable car system, first broached by Tugade in 2016, was reportedly the subject of a 26 million peso study funded by the French government targeted for completion this year. Meanwhile, vendors and their customers all feasted on lechon in Alabang Public Market today. The vendors wanted to show the pork on their stalls are safe to eat. Nina Armilio reports why.
100 joined the budol fight in Alabang Public Market today, where lechon and other pork dishes were served. This morning's activity aimed to allay the fear of some residents in Muntinlupa City amid the African swine fever or ASF outbreak in other areas. Pork vendors say sales have been slower. Just like Levy, she says she used to sell 7 pigs a day, but these past few weeks, she has sold only 4 to 5 pigs.
Sana naman mawala na yung African swine flu sa Pilipinas para sa ganon, lumakas na yung bentahan kasi sobrang tumal talaga. Ang laki ng naging epekto sa amin.
The city veterinarian advises the public to look for the meat inspection certificate before buying pork to be sure the meat is safe to eat.
Araw-araw po ini-issuehan yan, so dapat sa araw na pagbili nyo ay yun din po yung petsa ng meat inspection certificate na ipapakita sa inyo.
Muntinlupa City Mayor Jaime Fresnedi also boasts their supply of pork comes from Laguna, Batangas, and Cavite, which have no reported cases of ASF virus infection so far.
Sinisiguro namin na yung mga supply na pinanggagalingan ng aming binebenta dito sa Muntinlupa ay safe.
Nina Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Department of Health, or DOH, reminds parents to bring their children 5 years of age and below to health centers for the nationwide patak polio immunization. DOH Assistant Secretary Maria Rosario Vergere says that the first wave of their simultaneous anti-polio vaccine drive in Manila from August 19 to 31, 2019, only 53% of their target were vaccinated. Based on the Health Department's rapid assessment, 41% of parents say they and their children were not around during the time of the vaccination campaign in August. Their reasons include lack of vaccination, lack of knowledge in the said activity, being undecided, and lack of trust in health workers and the vaccine. The DOH says there is no cure for polio. The only way to prevent it is by getting 3 doses of vaccines which are proven safe for children's health. Meanwhile, some parts of Metro Manila and several provinces in Luzon experienced hailstorm in the past days. It's not a common sight in the Philippines, but let's find out why it happened as Ray Pelayo reports.
Fair weather was experienced in the past days amid the transition period from the southwest monsoon to northeast monsoon season. But hailstones were observed in Alfonso, Cavite yesterday, October 3.
Ayan o, lalaki o! Mula na ng yelo dito sa Sinaliw. Ayan, ginadampot ang yelo dito sa Sinaliw. Doon. Oh, okay na. Oh, ayan o, ayan o. Oh, ayan o, ayan, ayan, ayan.
Hailstones also fell in some parts of Metro Manila, like in Valenzuela yesterday. The person who uploaded the video on social media said the precipitation lasted for about 30 minutes. It was also experienced in Project 4 Quezon City. Zinky Reyes Carion was also able to capture on video the moment hailstones were falling. Frozen rain droplets were also caught in Barangay San Bartolome Novaliches, Quezon City. While in Cubao, the heavy rainfall was accompanied with hailstones. It also rained hailstones in Central Luzon and majority of Calabarzon. The Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA, said the thunderstorm found its timing because there is no other weather system affecting the country.
Hindi lang siya water lang or like in the precipitation part kasi diba may condensation process. So pag above freezing point, usually nag-crystallize ito into ice crystals nga, and then when it's heavy enough, pag hindi na kaya ng atmosphere natin at that certain time, at that certain point, saka na po ito ibubuhos in a form of hailstone.
PAGASA advises the public to take shelter during a hailstorm as it may cause harm. Hailstorm precipitation in some countries are too destructive. The biggest measured hailstone, 8 inches in diameter, was recorded 9 years ago on July 23, 2010 in South Dakota, USA. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Department of Education, or DepEd, will distribute a 1,000 peso cash incentive to public school teachers in celebration of World Teachers' Day on October 5. Based on Department Order Number 026 Series of 2019, the Department of Budget and Management, or DBM, shall facilitate in the release of funds to their respective DepEd regional offices. Newly hired teachers after September 30, 2019 will not also be covered by the World Teachers' Day incentive benefit. Meanwhile, Education Secretary Leonor Briones expressed her gratitude to the teachers for their unwavering commitment to hone the country's future leaders. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, relaunched the Children's Road Safety Park in Manila City today. Here, children learn at the same time have fun. Harleen Delgado tells us why.
Lise.
It is delighting to know that despite their young age, these kids already know the basic traffic rules. This Children's Road Safety Park in Malate, Manila City is proof that learning can be fun. Here, children are taught road rules, such as the proper use of pedestrian lanes and footbridges when crossing the street.
Yung mga tinuturo natin na sana habang bata pa sila, matutunan nila at madala nila habang lumalaki sila. Pag nag-e-enjoy sila habang natututo, yun ang pinakamaganda.
3-year-old Rhoda even dressed up as a street sweeper like her mother and showed off some sweeping.
Alam niya na yung nakikita niya na yung ginagawa ko, natututo siya. Marunong na rin siya kung saan magtatapon.
Aside from lectures, children will also get to tour around the park full of colorful murals and makeup structures such as fast food stores, gas station, and hospital.
Naging hamon po sa amin kung paano magiging fun, tsaka yung interactive yung pagtuturo namin kasi mga bata to, so dapat very simple, tapos yung masaya. Sinasamahan namin ng mga kanta na alam nila, kagaya ng Twinkle Twinkle, ganyan.
Kids couldn't help but enjoy the experience.
Maganda ba dito? Maganda po. Pwede ka pong matuto.
And if these children's smiles are what we get in return for teaching them, surely there is hope for a brighter future. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Welcome back to iNews. You don't have enough money for a metro ticket in Rome? No worries, just collect a few plastic bottles and you'll be able to ride for free. Italy's capital is offering travelers a way to exchange their waste plastic bottles for tickets on the Eternal City's public transport system. Nina Armilio details why.
In San Giovanni Metro Station, commuters were queuing, holding bags of empty bottles to experience the program Ricicli Viaggi. The more you recycle, the more you travel. That allows passengers to return plastic bottles in exchange for a 5-cent credit that could be accrued and spent to purchase digital tickets. Through the My Cicero app, users can scan their personal barcode on a special recycling machine, insert empty plastic bottles inside a compactor, and digitally buy rides. A standard ticket, valid for one metro ride or 100 minutes on all buses, allowing transfers, costs 1.50 euros, so 30 bottles are enough to afford it. And Romans are enjoying this new way of saving cash.
If you use money to involve people in recycling, even those who have no civic sense will recycle.
But it isn't all good news. Rome is spiraling into decline with rubbish spewing out of bins. And after decades of neglect, tourists and residents can literally smell the problem affecting the city. Rubbish litters the ancient streets of Rome, with hundreds of tons of garbage lying uncollected, with flies dining on rotten food, often in front of ancient monuments.
Ma la situazione è abbastanza disastrosa. Roma
The situation is quite disastrous. Rome has failed to create an efficient system for differentiated waste collection as Milan has done. And it has not built the recycling plants that are fundamental for a city where 3 million people live. If the waste treatment is closed and no recycling plants are created on the territory, the waste will continue to be exported outside the region as it is today.
The eco-friendly Trash for Tickets initiative was launched by Rome Mayor Virginia Raggi on behalf of Rome's Transports Network, ATAC. The recycling machines will be in place in 3 metro stations for a 12-month testing phase. But the capital has a long way to go before it catches up with other cities in recycling initiatives, even if the new recycling program is a small step in the right direction. Nina Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue.
And for the news abroad, U.S. President Donald Trump openly called on China to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden. The extraordinary request mirrored one he made privately to the Ukrainian president and served as an open challenge to the Democrats, investigating it as an abuse of power. Kath de Maraos explains why.
U.S. President Donald Trump said on Thursday he wanted Ukraine and China to investigate former U.S. Vice President Joe Biden and his son, openly advocating an action that triggered a Democratic impeachment inquiry in Congress. Trump's earlier efforts to have Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky launch an investigation into Biden and his son Hunter were cataloged in a July 25 telephone call released by the White House and a whistleblower complaint that alleged Trump withheld U.S. aid to pressure Kyiv's leader to comply.
I would recommend that they start an investigation into the Bidens.
As he left the White House for a visit to Florida, Trump also said he believed China should launch a probe of the Bidens, alluding to unproven allegations he and his lawyer have made about Hunter Biden's business dealings in China.
By the way, likewise, China should start an investigation into the Bidens, because what happened in China is just about as bad as what happened with Ukraine.
Meanwhile, the head of the intelligence panel, Adam Schiff, said on President Trump's comments, calling on Ukraine and China to probe one of his top Democratic rivals in the 2020 elections is a fundamental breach of his oath of office.
The president inviting another country to interfere in our presidential elections repugnant and a fundamental breach of his oath of office. It endangers the security of our elections and is a betrayal of the idea that Americans should decide who leads America, not foreign parties who seek to intervene in our affairs.
Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Trump administration slapped 25% tariffs on French wine, Italian cheese in retaliation for European Union subsidies on large aircraft. Jovic Burmas tells us why.
The U.S. Trade Representative's Office released a list of hundreds of European products that will get new tariffs, including cookies, salami, butter, and yogurt, but in many cases applied to only some EU countries, including German camera parts and blankets produced in the United Kingdom. The list includes UK-made sweaters, pullovers, cashmere items, and wool clothing, as well as olives from France and Spain, EU-produced pork sausage and other pork products other than ham, and German coffee. The new tariffs are to take effect as early as October 18. At Di Paolo's Fine Food in New York's Little Italy, owner Salvatore Di Paolo predicted the tariffs would spell doom.
We went through many disasters in being in business for over 100 years. We went through depression. We went through 2 world wars. We went through storms. This might be the biggest disaster of them all. It will hurt the whole economy of everyone.
Di Paolo said the tariffs would exacerbate an already difficult climate for business owners who contend with high rents and taxes.
I know you want to get results, and the way of getting results is to cause a little disturbance, but don't hurt the little people that are working hard. Hurt the big companies that are causing this problem. Go after them.
The U.S. Trade Representative's Office said it would continually reevaluate these tariffs based on our discussions with the EU and expects to enter talks in a bid to resolve the dispute. Still, some Italian foods, Parmesan Reggiano, Romano, and Provolone cheese, were hit with tariffs, as were Italian fruits, clams, and yogurt. Also getting new tariffs are German and British camera parts, industrial microwave ovens, printed books, sweet biscuits, and waffles. The main target of the US tariffs is Airbus aircraft made in the EU, which face 10% levy that could hurt US airlines, such as Delta, that have billions of dollars of Airbus orders waiting to be filled. EU products winning reprieves include chocolate, Greek, French, and Portuguese olive oil, helicopters, frozen fish, lobster, sparkling wine, stemware, and tiles. Jovic Bermas, UNTV News and Rescue.
Hong Kong's government is expected to take the rare step of invoking emergency powers so that it can enact a ban on face masks like the ones pro-democracy protesters have worn during months of demonstrations. Meanwhile, a knife-wielding employee has killed 3 officers and 1 administrative worker at police headquarters in the center of the French capital, Paris. Ferdy Pitalio has the details.
In Paris, a police administrative worker went on a knife rampage inside the force's headquarters on Thursday, killing 4 people being shot dead by an officer. Witnesses described scenes of panic with many people fleeing the building in tears. The area in the Ile de la Cite was sealed off. The attack came a day after police went on a strike across France over increasing violence towards officers. The Paris prosecutor said a murder investigation had been launched. A motive for the attack remains unclear. However, police union officials have suggested the attacker may have been involved in a workplace dispute. In Iraq, security forces in the Iraqi capital, Baghdad, have fired live rounds at protesters defying a curfew. The Prime Minister says the open-ended curfew, which has been in place since dawn, is needed to maintain order and protect protesters from infiltrators. More than 20 people have been killed since Tuesday in clashes with security forces in Baghdad and other cities. Thousands have taken to the streets to vent their anger at high unemployment, poor services, and corruption. In Hong Kong, Hong Kong is set to enact an emergency law to ban face masks at rallies, as authorities grapple with nearly 4 months of anti-government protests. Many demonstrators wear face masks to hide their identities and shield themselves from tear gas. Some predicted the law would anger protesters even more, while others worried about being arrested. Police have also urged the government to impose curfews to help curb the escalating violence in the Chinese-ruled city, where officers have become a target of protesters amid accusations of excessive force. And in Kazakhstan, NASA astronaut Nick Hague, Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexei Ovchinin, and Roscosmos spaceflight participant Hazza Ali Al-Munzuri landed safely in Kazakhstan. Hague and Ovchinin spent 203 days on the station. After post-landing medical checks, Hague will return to Houston, and Ovchinin and Al-Munzuri will return to Star City, Russia. The expedition's 60 astronauts conducted hundreds of experiments in biology, biotechnology, physical science, and earth science, according to NASA, which said experiments included investigations into devices that mimic human organs, free-flying robots, and an instrument to measure Earth's distribution of carbon dioxide.
Everything is proceeding fine.
Ferdy Pitalio, UNTV News and Rescue.
Scientists say it may be possible to decipher words on ancient scrolls using new X-ray technique. Stephanie C. will tell us why.
Scientists at Britain's National Synchrotron facility have harnessed powerful light beams to virtually unwrap and decipher fragile scrolls dating back some 2,000 years in a process they hope will provide new insights into the ancient world. The 2 complete scrolls and 4 fragments from the so-called Herculaneum library, the only ones surviving from antiquity, were buried and carbonized by the deadly eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD and are too fragile to be opened. The items were examined at the Diamond Light Source facility in Oxfordshire, home to Britain's synchrotron, a particle accelerator in which beams travel around a closed-loop path. Electrons are accelerated to near light speeds until they emit light 10 billion times brighter than the sun, then directed into laboratories in beam lines, which allow scientists to study minute specimens using X-ray beams in extreme detail without damaging them.
We are going to shine very intense light to it, and then detect on the other side a number of two-dimensional images. From that, reconstruct a three-dimensional volume of the object, and we will be able to unwrap it virtually to actually read the text in a non-destructive manner.
The ink on the scrolls is difficult to see even through synchrotron because it is carbon-based like the papyrus it is written on. But scientists hope the density of the paper will be different where written characters are present. By scanning the fragments where characters are visible, they hope to create a machine learning algorithm that will decipher what is written on the scrolls. Stephanie C., UNTV News and Rescue.
A man paralyzed from the shoulders down has been able to walk using a pioneering 4-limb robotic system or exoskeleton that is commanded and controlled by signals from his brain. Mirasol Abucadil will tell us why.
With a ceiling-mounted harness for balance, Thibault, the 28-year-old tetraplegic patient, used a system of sensors implanted near his brain to send messages to move all 4 of his paralyzed limbs after a 2-year-long trial of the whole-body exoskeleton. The results, published in the Lancet Neurology Journal on Thursday, bring doctors a step closer to one day being able to help paralyzed patients drive computers using brain signals alone, according to the researchers who led the work. But for now, the exoskeleton is purely an experimental prototype and is far from clinical application. The previous brain-computer technologies have used invasive sensors implanted in the brain, where they can be more dangerous and often stop working. Previous versions have also been connected to wires or have been limited to creating movement in just one limb. In this trial, 2 recording devices were implanted, one on either side of the patient's head between the brain and the skin, spanning the sensory motor cortex region of the brain that controls sensation and motor function. Each recorder contained 64 electrodes, which collected brain signals and transmitted them to a decoding algorithm. The system translated the brain signals into the movements the patient thought about and sent his commands to the exoskeleton. Over 24 months, the patient carried out various mental tasks to train the algorithm to understand his thoughts and to progressively increase the number of movements he could make. Commenting on the results, Tom Shakespeare, a professor at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, said it was a welcome and exciting advance, but added proof of concept is a long way from usable clinical possibility. Mirasol Abugadil, UNTV News and Rescue.
An overworked Filipino worker who ran away from her employer in Bahrain flew back to the Philippines today. Members Church of God International provided her free ticket home. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
Renny Grace decided not to finish her 2-year contract as a household help in Bahrain. Her employers didn't fulfill their promise to hire another housemate to help her with the daily chores.
Iisa lang po ako, tas malaking bahay. So, hindi po basta-basta yung trabaho as a housemaid DH kasi nga ibang culture, tsaka iba yung pakikitungo nila sa mga housemaid.
Renny Grace said she was overworked. She has not been receiving enough compensation. She couldn't even get enough rest after a day's work.
Halos walang pahinga. Hindi ko nasusunod yung 8 hours dapat na rest kasi nahuhulog po siya na 5 to 6 hours na lamang. Tapos yun pong trabaho, nagiging 12 hours na po siya. So, puyatan na po. Tapos, halos wala na pong pahinga.
On September 17, she ran away from her employer. She went straight to the Philippine Embassy in Mahus, Manama, Kingdom of Bahrain. There, embassy personnel addressed her concern.
Yun pong pag-exit ko, nahulog po siya na run away kasi nga po sa sobrang pagod na, sa hindi ko na makayanan yung mga trabaho, hindi na po ako nagpaalam. Talagang umalis na lang ako ng kusa. Tapos siya yun, tumakbo po ako ng embassy.
Granny Grace is very grateful because that same day, Members Church of God International gave her a free ticket back home in the Philippines. MCGI, led by Brother Eli Soriano, willingly assists distressed OFWs who need to go home but cannot afford an air ticket.
Merong regalo yung dating daan na so yun po ang nagbigay sa akin ng libreng so naging libre na po yung pamasahe. Nagpapasalamat ako syempre sa ating Panginoong may kapal na siyang tumulong din sa alam ko na dininig niya yung mga panalangin ko. So thanks be to God dahil nagkaroon ako ng blessings galing sa Kanya.
Granny Grace advises those who plan to go to the Middle East to think more than twice or thrice before deciding to work there.
Yung buhay po as a DH doon sa abroad, lalo na sa Middle East po, talagang hindi po siya ganun kadali. Pahirapan po talaga kasi.
Granny Grace is on her way to Davao City to be with her 14-year-old son again. She plans on starting anew and raise her child as a single mom. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
A Filipino fisherman shares to UNTV News his near-death experience when a 140-meter bridge collapsed in Taiwan on October 1st. He says he doesn't consider it as luck. For him, it's a divine power that saved him from harm's way. Amiel Pascual will tell us why in this exclusive report.
Edgardo Ortiz has been working in a fishing company in Taiwan for 11 years. He shares that part of their daily routine is filling their boat with gas under the Nanfangao Bridge every morning. But last Tuesday morning was different. He experienced something that he says he will never forget in his entire life.
Umaga, mga alas 9, nagkukrudo kami doon sa may kruduhan doon sa lalim ng tulay. Doon kami nagpa-parking. Habang nagkukrudo kami, yun lang nangyari nga. Yung iba, mga kasamahan ko, doon nakahiga sila sa may kabina. Yung 4 na crew nga. Kasi sila wala nang ginagawa, nakadikit na kami magkadikit na 3 barko namin. Isa lang lupan yun, isa lang ang amo namin. Pinatulong ko ni Chip sa pagkukrudo, doon ko sa bandang likuran, sa may kusina banda.
Before proceeding at the back of the boat, Edgardo decided to return to the cabin to get his cell phone to talk to his wife while docked.
Nung pagpasok ko sa cabin, kuha ko cellphone, mga walang 1 minuto doon, bumagsak na yung tulay. Akala ko nga lindo lang yon. Kaya napaganyan ko kasi yung bubong na gumaganyan ng bubong. Pagtingin ko doon sa cabin doon, wala, yupi na yung higaan doon, yung sa bandang likuran.
Edgardo and another crew member quickly looked for a way to escape their damaged boat before it sank.
Kaya ang ginagawa, gumagapang ko, kaming dalawang nai-assistan ko, dalawa kaming magkasama doon, tumulong. Gapang may palabas bandang likuran, yung doon sa may lambatan. Yun na, pagtingin ko pala, tulay na pala yung bumagsak.
An old tanker passing the bridge fell on the boats and caused fire and explosion.
Kaya akala ko barko namin nag-apoy, yung pala tanker pala doon.
The fire was immediately extinguished by responding officers. Many Filipinos working that day were able to survive the bridge collapse, but 3 Filipinos died after the incident. Edgardo said the news for him is heartbreaking. Despite this, he's thankful to God Almighty for saving him from the near-death experience.
Nagpapasalamat talaga sa Panginoong Diyos dahil Sa kanyang pag-iingat sa buhay ko. Salamat sa Diyos. Maraming salamat. Iba talaga kung yung may Diyos ka sa buhay. Mayroong mag-iingat sa atin.
Amiel Pascual, UNTV News and Rescue, Taiwan.
Meanwhile, the relatives of a migrant Filipino fisherman who died after a bridge collapsed into a harbor in Taiwan, killing at least 5 people, arrived at Taoyuan Airport today, accompanied by her sister, Marie Ann Impang, whose husband, 47-year-old George Jagmis Impang, died in the incident, was met by Taiwanese officials at the airport upon arrival. Impang was one of the 6 migrants, 3 Indonesian and 3 Filipinos, who died after being trapped under the collapsed bridge in Yilan County on Tuesday. The company responsible for managing the bridge, Taiwan International Ports Corporation Limited, said it will provide 5 million Taiwan dollars or 8.3 million pesos in compensation to the families of those killed. And those are the reasons behind the news this October 4, 2019. On behalf of Alex Baltazar, I am William Theo, and before we close, we will recap with today's significant sound bites. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
And right now, even as I fly here and go back, there are about, again, 2 generals who are still playing with drugs. And I said, well, I told you, do not destroy my country because it is being flooded with drugs.
They just have to make sure that kung may ginawa sa akin, I will survive. I will not survive. Otherwise, all hell will break loose.
Natambangan ako ng 4 times already. I even sold one of my small house because kinising na ako doon. But the threat was intensified just recently.
Walang cover up dito. Ang lumabas dito, walang cover up dito. Yung kung sinong dapat managot, mananagot. Walang cover up dito. We do not cover up anybody.
Nagpapasalamat talaga sa Panginoong Diyos dahil sa kanyang pag-iingat sa buhay ko. Iba talaga kung yung may Diyos ka sa buhay. Mayroong mag-iingat sa atin.